Hi, I'm Larry Levin of the St. Louis Jewish Light, here with Bob Cohn, our editor-in-chief emeritus, for another edition of Kop Talk, talking about issues of the day. Bob, this isn't a specifically Jewish issue, but it does go very much to the question of Jewish principles. A Parkway School district teacher who in her former life was an adult film actress appears to have been forced to resign from her position. She apparently had committed no crime, was no longer in the business, and had fessed up to it publicly on, of all places, Dr. Phil's show several years ago. Unless there's more to this story than meets the eye, my question to you is, does this episode undermine the notion that one can redeem one's life from prior mistakes or acts?
I really do, in view of the times that occurred for the late 60s or the 70s when a lot of adult films were being made, and a lot of good people have gone into other professions, other lives, and for that to be held permanently over their head. And this was long before Facebook pictures can come back to haunt people years later.
And that's what happened in this case, is that some students got hold of the old stuff and started passing them around.
Exactly. So I think it does undermine. It needs to be watched carefully.
I agree. I also think it was very interesting because the same day that this came out in the Post-Dispatch, we were filming one of our Hey Hey 5 and 5 episodes with Margie Kessler of the Jewish Prison Outreach, which is all about redemption and believing that people can have second chances in their lives, and Rabbi Jim Goodman, who does such a great job working with the families of convicts and ex-convicts from the Jewish community.
Yeah, I've done some work along those lines myself, and it's very, very important work, and we should always give an opportunity for people to start anew.
Let's talk about new predictions in the Middle East. In Egypt, for instance, with elections coming, you think anti-Israel rhetoric is going to start to be used there and elsewhere to promote candidates, and will that create a shift in the nation's relations?
I'm concerned about that, although I was very encouraged that Amr Moussa, who was an announced candidate, has reiterated his support for continuing to respect the Egypt-Israel treaty. He want to modify some things relating to natural gas, but that was important. But I am concerned, we don't really know the views of a lot of the people who protested legitimately against the autocracy of Mubarak, what their views are going to be going forward.
Of all the other countries, where are you the most concerned?
Well, I'm most concerned about Libya because of the humanitarian disaster that's unfolding as we speak. It appeared that rebels had the upper hand, and then Gaddafi is striking back with full force, so I am very concerned about that. Bahrain is problematical because we don't know if the current regime, which is moderate, is overthrown because it's a minority over a large majority, whether the new leadership will be pro or anti our interests.
Yeah. What do you think about Congressman Peter King's hearings on Islamic extremism and terrorism that are going on right now?
I was hoping you'd ask me about that because I'm going to file this thick. And I think so far of the statements, I know Botch Averson Goldstein and Jerry Griman had a thoughtful letter to the editor of the Post-Dispatch this morning. There are two things involved here. One is the very real concern about the phenomenon of extreme Islamic violence. I prefer the positions taken by a serious study that was done by the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, which documented that since 9/11 there have been 130 such cases over the past 9 years, and maybe 133,000 other kinds of acts of violence in our cities. And to single out a particular group with hearings which can sometimes disintegrate into grandstanding, presents some concerns.
Well, that's really my question. I mean, you look at the issues with skinheads, with Aryan Nation folks, with Christian extremists, with any religious extremists or non-religious extremists. I mean, why single out Islam and Muslims for these hearings?
And Peter King himself had been a strong public supporter of the IRA.
Exactly.
Should all Irish Catholics who were sympathetic with Irish independence for Northern Ireland have been subpoenaed to appear before a committee. So it does raise those issues.
You're with me on that one, I think so. Speaking, we were talking about protests in the Middle East. Let's talk about protests in Wisconsin. Amidst all the back and forth about collective bargaining and the role of unions, and the suggestions that Governor Walker and others are really trying to eviscerate the union movement, both the Jewish federations and community relations councils in Wisconsin have remained surprisingly mum. And my question to you is this a cop-out based on not offending certain constituencies, or is there a reason to stay on the sidelines?
I think it's a big-time cop-out because the labor movement has been very integral to the Jewish community and vice versa. You and I have gone to these wonderful Freedom Seders every year, the Labor Seder rather.
Absolutely.
We have AFL-CIO Teamsters and all kinds of good people. We had the Triangle Shirtwaist Factory anniversary.
We just talked about in the
And
newspaper.
We need unions to counterbalance excessive plutocracy, as the Post-Dispatch would say back in the day. And while there have been excesses within the labor movement, of course, but I think there's been a real overreach on behalf of the governor of Wisconsin that's not overall healthy for our society to break unions completely of their ability to collectively.
And certainly we're seeing polls that suggest the American people think that maybe this is going too far. I think the most recent, I think it was the New York Times poll, showed that 61% of respondents said they believe in collective bargaining, think it's a very important part of our socioeconomic culture.
I agree completely.
Yeah. That's all the time we have today. Thanks for visiting us. Tune in next time on Kop Talk. I'm Larry Levin. This is Bob Cohn. We'll see you later. Bye.